Hey there, and welcome to the inside of Longobarda. I'm just going to give you a quick tour around. This is going to be a little bit different from the one that we did on Falcon. Look, this one's got cushions, it's got TVs, it's got lights. This is actually a proper boat and not kind of like a shed like last time. So we're here in the main salon at the moment. We've got this beautiful carbon fiber table. Seating is all brand new. This has been put in by the last owner, the present owner, as a solution to provide a charter interior. We've got a table which does drop down and make some kind of bed, which might be useful for if we're doing like crewing for big regattas and we've got a very big crew and we just have to have flat spaces for them to sleep on. Obviously no good when you're at sea. TV here, and then in the corner there, we'll have a look in a second, that's where the day toilet is, the day head for just nipping down and going in. That's one of the things I really like about this boat, because that's going to give great access for any of the veterans who have mobility issues. Once we've got them down the stairs and they're all very happy to be kind of manhandled, there's a quick place to go to, nice and private, and the area is also a shower, so it's a perfect facility. Through the door there on the port side of the boat goes through to the nav area, and there's a kind of bunk there for the captain. We'll be looking at that in just a second. Underneath this box behind the seats is a 24 kilovolt Kohler generator. Looks great, like brand new oil in it. We've got a few of the extra cushions on top. Going through there is going into the galley, which we'll look at in a second. Lots more space than we've seen on any of the other boats. Really able to produce a nice meal in there. Behind the door here is a wet locker for keeping gear. And I hope that all this lot comes with it. Let's find the catches. Look, there's a whole heap of Musto gear in here. So it's always good when you buy a boat and there's lots of extra toys in it. On the other side of the room here, now one of the things that we were concerned about from the survey was the chain plate on the starboard side, and the captain of the boat has actually gone to task on that now. He's cleaned the entire area up. We had the surveyor here yesterday, and it seems that the rust was just superficial, nothing too bad. We can tell that because there's no pitting in the bolts now. We'll take another look at those over time. The issue primarily is that on deck, which we'll look at when we get up there, the shrouds come down, and then they're called escutcheon plates, and the escutcheon plates have not been caulked properly, and that's allowed water to come in. But there is actually a catch box there meant to catch water from that area, but it's the drain pipe. The drain pipe had a kink in it. The box filled up, overflowed, and then we've got a little bit of moisture there. So that's great. He's already got on top of that. And then this is an inspection area, but this one they'll fill that back in, smooth it back out, repaint, and then it'll all be gone. But more seating on this side, so we can get 12 people sat very comfortably here. And my idea is that a person can provide a presentation from this central area at the bottom of the stairs, and then 12 people can look on, and we can do presentations on the TVs. There's also a sound system here. So very nice area. Now, one issue in this area is that there's no real handholds, so we'll be adding those in. If you were to come into this area at sea, you take your life in your hands. We'll put some vertical poles here. If we find that we're not using the tables too much, we'll actually bring those poles down through the tables to further secure them, because this kind of table is great, but maybe on a motorboat, but on a boat like this at sea, obviously you can't lean against that too well. So that's the circumnavigation of the saloon area. This door brings us through to the base of the mast. So there she is. A lot to sort of see in there, but basically the mast was cut down, as we know, and I think 6 meters or 7 meters was taken off the top of the mast. That was a job which I was consulted with a couple of years ago now, and that's what's going to make this boat a lot easier to sail, because it's made it into a masthead rig rather than a fractional rig. When you've got these big maxis with huge fractional rigs with a huge amount of bend designed into them, pulling on that top backstay flattens off the mainsail, increases the speed of the boat, but it means that you've got a full backstay set up all the time, and it's very hard to do amateur sailing or sailing with any group that's new to this kind of thing without there being a lot of stress around backstays. So that modification, which we'll see when we go outside, has already been done, which is great news at the cost of the owner now. A lot of this has been kind of chucked back in. The issue with this boat, and I spoke to the broker and I spoke to the surveyor, it just kind of needs to go to sea. It just needs to be used. That's its primary issue. So we'll have to tune the rig. We've got to reconnect a couple of the rams here, which are tensioners for the check stays. But this, apart from a clean, it's good in there. And the great thing is that a professional rig has been in there within the last couple of years and it hasn't been to sea since. So going forward now, so we're in the salon. That's our TV there, 6 people seating. We're going to be working on the check stay there. Sorry, the chain plate there. There's our locker. That's going through to the galley, generator, nav area, the day head, and the more of the seating area. So now we're going forward on the boat. We've got this passageway which is slightly to starboard. And as we get into this area, first we've got to port this bunk bed room. Lovely light in here. Little cupboard off to one side. We can see there also, you see that little bit of rust coming out the chain plate. We've got the same issue on the port side of the port side of the boat. Again, it's superficial. The good thing also is that bulkhead is carbon fiber, which means it's not as susceptible to moisture as the Kevlar bulkheads would be on other boats. The hull on this boat is Kevlar, which is great because it means it's super tough, but the bulkheads are carbon, and that's a great development. In here, this is just a starboard. We just came through the door there from the salon. To starboard is another head. This one serves these 2 cabins. Again, a shower, and they're all electric heads in this boat. Going slightly forward now, we come away to starboard, and we've got another bunk bed room. They've all got sockets in. This boat is on 220 volts. I think we'll probably keep it on 220 volts. Most modern devices people are using, a lot of those adapters are 110, 220. But we will probably change the sockets out for maybe a European style or something like that. There's not that many English people coming that would want to charter. So air conditioning in these cabins, and then going forward to what is the master cabin. This is a very nice area to be in port, but it is an athwartship's bunk for 2 people. None of the bunks in this boat seem to have any lee cloth, so we'll be adding that. And on this kind of bunk, you'd normally split the mattress and put a lee cloth in the center attached to the roof so that 2 people can be on here. But do you really want to have a bunk that's athwartships? Otherwise you're going to be on your head or standing upright. So I think this one we may find over time that what we do is take this bunk and turn it through 90 degrees. Obviously there's quite a bit of woodwork involved in that, but we turn it through 90 degrees and we make it so it's more kind of, you enter the cabin and it's away to one side, or maybe there's a bed you can walk around on either side. But as it is right now for marina work, absolutely fine, no problem at all. Behind us here, that's our corridor going back down to the middle of the boat. This is the ensuite for the forward cabin. Lots of light, lots of storage, electric head in there again, and a shower. So this ends up being a very nice cabin, and then a nice kind of view off down. Lots of interesting pictures on this boat. Look, we've got people who've lost their shoes. What's that? Looks like an Austin 7 or something. From the UK, about 1942. We've got wooden boats, and who's that? That's Alfred Hitchcock. Yes, of course it is. And then that's the woman from Casablanca, isn't it? Who's that? I've forgotten. All right, so we're going back down through the boat here now. We come out back into our salon, and we're back in the center of the boat. Let's go over here first to the nav area. A quick look in the day head here. The lights don't seem to be working in here, but I think it's more of a fuse than anything else. We see shower and electric toilet. And then going through here now into the, I'd say it's like the captain's area, the nav area, whatever you want to call it. A fantastic place to be able to get people involved in the navigation. Oh, I'm back. A fantastic place to get people involved in the navigation. A little bit of ventilation up here, which I might actually, we do not have the aircon on at the moment. So this B&G system here now is intended to be connected to a display. That just needs to have a VGA type monitor put up on front of here. And then we've got, wow, I just realized, look at this. The nav station is like at elbow height. Well, this is great. If I get tired at sea, I can just rest my head on the nav station. Yeah, but maybe we might alter that a little bit. But there's some equipment here. We've got EPUB. We've got a lovely new B&G VHF system, new GMDSS unit, so we don't have to update that. Nicely laid out switch panels, although a lot of these nasty labels, there's a better way of doing that. 4 main bilge pumps here, and I have seen that there's also a salvage pump on the main engine, which means that in the event of major flooding, you can actually engage that and the main engine will help to throw. If it's anything like the other boats I've got, it'll probably throw about 2,000 litres every 15 or 20 minutes. I know that because I need 2,000 litres to fill the tanks to starboard on, to port or starboard on Challenger, and it's about 15 minutes work. So what have we got over here? Battery control area. We've got up here our tank controls and tank watch. bilge pumps, as we say. More switches on this side, more to do with ship's power and the generator, engine, and shore power. And then underneath here, this Corian work surface, which can act as a prep area for the galley on the other side there. Under here is the main engine. We've got a 190 horsepower Perkins. No, is this one? It's a Volvo. So it's a Volvo engine in here. We did have an issue trying to start it up yesterday. One of the brokers seems to have come in at some point and left all the lights and everything on, flattened the batteries. The captain is working to swap those out now. So we'll have engine test tomorrow, which sounds good. And then we get into this area. So one thing I will be looking to do with this boat is that it's had this hydraulic system added. I would say this needs covering in, clearly, and like paneling off here. We don't want people swinging through from one area to the next and getting their hands on here as it starts to go around. But you can see lots of lighting, nice paneling above. It all needs a little bit of sorting out, but again, it's connected more to the fact that it's just hasn't been sailed. All the cushions are in fantastic condition. I haven't looked under it. Oh, look, more storage. So, and then we go aft into the first of the kind of like nether areas of the boat. It's got, as we go down into the back of the boat here, we've got crew accommodation on the starboard side, but it could do with a second bunk above. And then inside of here is where the hydraulic power pack is for the, oh, can we get in there? Yeah. Up inside of this area is where, you can't really see much, but is where the hydraulic power pack is. This boat has 4 powered winches, which is fantastic. Oh. I feel like, what's he called? Kilroy was here, right? If I do this and then hang on like that, it's like Kilroy. But this area needs to be made a little bit more dynamic. For us, we don't need to have crew bunks, which have like big double bunks like this. If we have skipper and mate who are a partnership, which is possible, you don't have to provide him with a double bunk. It just robs you of space. So we'll probably make this into 2 bunks. And then going further aft, we've got, well, this is where the boat goes back to being what it would have been originally. Very, very open. We can put bunks in here. We've got 1,000 litres of water stored underneath here, and then a kind of workshop bench. And then back to the aft section where we've got the quadrant. And we've got a few little sticks of aluminum there. That's the ladder that goes out through the lazarette. So we've got a nice setup. Look, some amazing equipment. Can you imagine what that would have cost? Okay, let's go forward here and have a look over at the galley. Okay, so I'm in the galley, and this is, I think, one of the areas which is where this boat is transformative compared to the other boats. We've got lots of light. I think a handrail here, but other than that, we've got good bracing. We've got handrails on this side. We've got a big fridge on this side. And we've got a big fridge made into the, so I'm tidying up all of the junk that the captain's left on board. Another big fridge in here, so we have storage for many days. This will be the first time I've ever crossed the Atlantic with a fridge. 29 times I've never been across the Atlantic with a fridge. Lots of storage. This boat, the LPG system was taken out, which I think I'm completely happy with. We've got this lovely new Zanussi induction hob. We may want to come up with a solution for the oven because there's a lot of things we might want to make, of course, that involve an oven, but there's lots of space and we can work that out. If we go aft in this area, we end up in what I would prefer to really see on the other side. You see we've got a single bunk, a good sized single bunk here, and another one above. That's great accommodation for crew. Again, I think a requirement to tidy all this junk away and clean that up. But this is the reason why these things are not, why this boat is not for sale at its original asking price. The original asking price is around $375,000 US. I think that was speculative based on them completing the renovation which they perceived. They didn't quite get there, so we've got it at this lowered price. From here we go back into this other area, the other part of what we saw before. Emergency tiller here. The little bits of metal here are for the bimini which goes over the companionway hatch to stop spray coming inside, and then looking aft back down towards the quadrant again. So all in all, a lot of space inside the boat. The floorboards, the marquetry, the cabinetry is all marine grade plywood. It's not like super luxurious. I'm kind of fine with that. Trying to keep a boat at that level with varnished surfaces is nigh on impossible. We'll be offering charter which is better than going on Challenger, but is not some kind of, look at the sweat dripping off me, good Lord. It's not like going on Challenger or Falcon. It's not like going on this boat when it was original. It's something else, and that's what we've perceived people want. So let's go up on deck and have a quick look around there. We've tied up a little bit, but they have just literally come back from the boatyard. This boat's got new anti-foul on the bottom. It's just come back from the yard. Let's have a quick look up there. Okay, so back again. We're up at the bow now, and the great thing with this boat is already had the adaptation done. As an original racing boat, it wouldn't have had any cleats at the front, it wouldn't have had any anchoring, windlass, anything like that. That's been put in here now. So we've got a nice Maxwell 4000 winch here. The anchor at the front there, looks like at the moment we've got a Bruce anchor or a Delta or something. Oh, it's a Delta, sorry. But the key thing for me is like it's got these lovely pop-up cleats that have been put on the boat here. When we're at sea, they flatten off, and that means you can't get spinnaker sheets and stuff wrapped around them. We've got the controls here for the anchor windlass, and we've got this nice deep trough which was part of the original deck configuration, which means that the water's shed from here very easily. It's nice and easy to wash the anchor. Now sails wise, we've got some of these older Kevlar sails. The boat was operational up until about 2014, so it's not that old, but it has been out in the sun for quite a while. I'm not sure why it hasn't got a cover on, so we'll just work on the basis this is a 100-mile sail. It'll probably blow up after 100 miles, but there are quite a few other sails in the container. And we do have a bit of a whisper on the wind that there may be an extra container of stuff in London. I love that. Remember when we got Falcon and brought it back from France, that part of the game was going and finding that container. So watch out, it's probably going to come soon. On deck here, we've got the access point into the forepeak. There's not really much to see in there, but it's, if I can even get it open. It's one of those kind of holes you have to have on a boat where there's things stored you don't want elsewhere. You can see we've got some covers, some rope, and really not much else. Access in there also to the anchor locker so we can stack anchor chain nice and easily. It's also serviced by a solar vent which will just keep the air flowing. And then of course the look back down the boat. So a number of things I like about this boat. You see that the shrouds are actually inboard of the tow rails, so there's an opportunity to go outside them. So the sheets for the jib will be running probably between them or inside them going upwind. So instead of having to get yourself engaged with a sheet, you'll be able to just pass around the outside. That means accessibility for those who may be dealing with, they've got no legs, one leg, one arm, whatever the situation is. These veterans are coming to us from some pretty traumatic backgrounds. Mobility on this deck will be amazing. We may add in, where this tow rail is down the side, we may add in like a big stacked high one like we've got on Falcon, which has got lots of handholds going all the way through, so you can really get low, hold on, and that's when those who are dealing with not having any legs, as I've learned from going sailing with them, they always say, what do you do when you get scared on deck? You get low down, and they're already there and they know how to deal with that. But some good handholds downhill give them the opportunity to be on the foredeck and get the experience that we want them to have. Here we've got a quick look up the rig. So inline spreaders on this rig, just as we might expect from a Whitbread Maxi. This boat did not compete in the Whitbread race, but it was modified to do that. It was initially a round the cans racer, and then it was put back into the yard, and a huge amount of money spent on stiffening it up and strengthening it so that it could do the Whitbread Round the World race. Because it was modified for that race and provisionally entered, we are able to enter it in the Ocean Globe race. What we've got now, though, is that this originally 35-meter mast has been cut down to 29 meters, which is the same height as our other boats. So we have here a commodity, and the commodity is that this boat can go around behind the veterans boats doing the Ocean Globe race. It can be a base for our sailors, for our paid sailors when we're in port. It can be an office, it can carry gear, it can do that. We can have people which are on board for each leg enjoying it as more of a voyage rather than a race. But if one of the veterans boats breaks its rig, look what I've got. I got a spare rig, and that means that we can then recalibrate what we're doing. This boat can wait behind while some other rig is found so it can continue on, and that means that important veterans round the world campaign is self-insured in a way. We've got our own rig with us. So just take a look down the deck here. We've got a number of utility winches at the base of the mast, which is something we might clear out. That was definitely something that was used a lot when you had, this boat had been raced by 22 people back in the day. We can shift those back down more into the cockpit and then run the kind of system that we see on Falcon, that we see on Challenger, with lines led back to the cockpit. Looking up above us here, we've got this, the main's been cut down now. The original main was 170 square meters, massive main. What we've done by cutting the rig down is we have shortened the mainsail, and we have reduced the area. but what we're able to do now is to put more roach in the mainsail. Instead of having a pin-headed main, we'll get a big flat top main with lots of roach, and so we'll regain the area that we've lost, but it'll be lower down. So we've got a boat with 13.5 ton on the bottom, and now a reduced height of the center of effort, which is going to make her a little bit more easy on deck, again because we may be dealing with people who are working through their own mobility issues, and we don't need them to go out and like be getting thrown around as you would do in a smaller boat. Other thing I love with this boat is that the boom is very, very high. Just to give you an idea, well, you see the guys are stood here now. This is our broker Reynard and my colleague Louis, who's come to help me today. Look how high it is above them. It's nearly a meter above their heads. Even when it's lowered down for hoisting, the power vang only drops by about 30 centimeters, which means the back end of the boom is still going to be way above everybody's head. So very, very safe, which is exactly what we want. These giant winches are the ones which are turned by the hydraulic system that we saw. Well, we didn't really see it. We saw a shadow where it is, but the hydraulic system turns these big winches and those big winches and the ones at the back for the backstays. So we have incredible pulling power. Again, if we've got people who are dealing with mobility issues, or if we're doing charter where we don't want to have people having to work all the time, we can use the hydraulic system and get around it that way. On deck, we've got a lot of these pullback car slides, which is definitely of the era. The way that things go now with boating, we won't really be using those. We probably do outboard leads. We probably do a 3-point jib lead up at the shrouds and then have non-overlapping head sails, but that's for the future. It will tidy up the decks. It will make it a little bit easier. Maybe we can replace these with some nice handrails, which again make those veterans with mobility issues a lot safer on deck. On deck here we've got these 2 pedestal grinders which remain. 2 have been removed there because the hydraulic system's in place. We don't need to have all of them anymore. What we're thinking of doing is putting a big deck box in this area where we can put extra life-saving equipment, and that'll give us something to put our feet up against. This cockpit is quite shallow, so if you're on deck, you've not even got much bend in your leg here and there's nothing to put your feet against. There's no stability as you come out of the companionway. But if you put a big box there with handrails, again, we've completely solved the problem and we've gained storage. So no issue there. These winches can be cross-connected and go either onto the Genoa winches or onto the backstay winches. We've got the main sheet winch in the center here. And another great thing with the work that's already been done to this boat, the hydraulic system, which is here, which controls a lot of the major functions of the rig, completely new panel. So it's from that aspect, a lot of key things have been done on this boat, which really, really help it. Another thing I like, have a look in here. Look at this. We've got 2 of these big B&G T12s, so lots of knowledge and understanding and kind of information for those people that are driving. I do find the driving position of this boat must have been designed for like giants. You remember the nav station? Like my shoulder's just here at the wheel. I think a little plate to lift the driver up would be very, very helpful. And then this thing, which I really like, bow thruster, because in the end of the day, this boat's 80 odd foot long and we're trying to sail it with amateurs. We don't want to get into those super stressful situations where the boat's blowing off and we can't control it. Let's just tuck it back up against the dock, and that bow thruster is a retractable one, so it doesn't affect the performance of the boat. Moving down towards the back here now, here's the entrance to the lazarette that we saw a little bit of. It's a bit, can we get this one open? I think this one's, yeah, there we go. We can look down now onto that kind of workshop area on top of the freshwater tanks. I'm thinking maybe we might move those tanks. The tanks are quite far aft. You know, where we are here, we've only got about 15 foot of the boat to go. 1,000 litres of water this far back in the boat. If you think the centre of the pitch and the roll on this boat is going to be just forward of that companionway, that means that the lever arm here is about, I guess the lever arm would be about 10 meters, give or take, and that means that 1,000 liters of water has a lot of extra inertia and a lot of extra momentum, causing the boat to pitch more. So we might clear those out, which then gives us excellent access down into that lazarette, create a better workshop situation. We can really take advantage of it. Now, my personal favorite on this boat, let's step over the Traveller. First, I will say that first, look, the Traveller is not in the way of any of the crew, but if you do cross over the Traveller, you end up in this luxury area at the back. Now I'm told that there are cushions for this area, and there are cushions for the area on either side of the cockpit, and there's actually a table which goes, it used to go on top of the grinders at the just above the companionway, and there's a table there. You can sit nearly 20 people around that table, so we'll modify that to go onto our deck box. But in this area, if we can get the seats in, look, there's already a bimini has been created here. I believe the canvas work still needs doing for it, but we can actually pull that bimini up and then we can sit and enjoy ourselves for once. It doesn't have to be so much bloody hard work all the time. So there we go. What do you think? That's Longobarda. From my point of view, it looks like the owner is saying that our offer is fair. So I'm very happy with the amount of work we've got here. We've got crew already arriving and our departure date is pegged for the 12th of July. So all things being even, if Reynard can help us through the purchasing process, I think we got ourselves a boat. So you just have to now imagine yourself stood here and I think we're off to the races. Cheers.